In the mid-1980s, Colonel Gaddafi and his entourage of militant Arab revolutionaries challenged the West from his stronghold of Tripoli. To America and Europe, he was public enemy number one, the most important sponsor of international terrorism. The same man in July 2009. Yesteryear's enemy was now one of our own. A distinguished guest at international summits. A ruthless dictator became an ally of the West. An ally who, 17 months later, would use tanks and artillery against a popular uprising in his own country. How did the West make its peace with Muammar Gaddafi? The answer is a tale of violence, duplicity, and realpolitik that goes back 40 years. The relationship between Gaddafi and the West began in a revolution. Backed by a handful of officers, the then 27-year-old captain toppled the corrupt but pro-Western monarchy of King Idris. In his first public address, Gaddafi challenged the two powers that dominated Libya.
في ليلة مجيدة لتجعل كلمة الحق هي العليا وكلمة أعداء الشعب هي السفلى. إن الشعب الإنجليزي يدرك تماما إن قاعدته باتت في حيز العدم بعد ثورة الشعب الليبي، ونحن ندرك أيضا إن الشعب الأمريكي الذي يحتفظ بقاعدة فوق أرضنا.
The first day of the revolution, a couple of Range Rovers drove up to the U.S. Embassy. They said, "It's time for you to meet Brother Muammar." He shared the Arab view that our objective was to maintain client states throughout the region, using our military bases and using economic aid and other inducements.
Gaddafi told the American diplomats that the giant Wheelus Air Force Base and its 5,000 airmen were no longer welcome. The United States lost a strategic base in the heart of the Arab world, but it did not break off relations with Gaddafi, far from it.
We recast our policy to downplay the importance of the military bases, to protect our economic relationship, and since this was a Cold War period, to do what we could to prevent Libya from offering some kind of special access and military privileges to the Soviet Union. I think he saw value in having some kind of relationship with the United States as long as Libya was not in a subordinate role.
Libya remained very important to Washington. And not only because of geopolitics. Beneath its soil was the 6th largest oil reserve in the world, with American companies taking pride of place. But the rich, strategically located nation was now in the hands of a revolutionary. A revolutionary who was nonetheless quick to grant an interview to CBS.
You say it's not peace. You are an anti-communist, yes?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
We are against the communism, but we are not against the friendship of Russia. If it is a mere friendship, noble friendship.
You have no intention of nationalizing ESSO. You have no intention of nationalizing Occidental?
Should not be worried about ESSO and Occidental and
Why?
other. Because we nationalized BB for political reasons, you see?
Yes.
We hope this reason will not happen in the future between us and America.
Gaddafi's shrewdness was rewarded. Between 1969 and 1971, the CIA helped him fend off several attempted coups. Once rid of his rivals, he could rule with an iron fist. Gaddafi's first foreign visit was to see Egypt's President Nasser, his model and the idol of all Arab revolutionaries. Gaddafi fervently embraced Nasser's ideology: Arab unity, the struggle against Western imperialism, uncompromising hostility towards Israel and its chief ally, the United States. Like Nasser, he wanted to wipe out the humiliation of the Arab defeat in the Six-Day War with Israel. When Nasser died 3 months later, Gaddafi proclaimed himself his true political heir.
There is a figure emerging in the Middle East, we're told, who could become a new Nasser. At least he is a man with those pretensions. He is Colonel Muammar el-Gaddafi, 30-year-old ruler of Libya, and he wants to unify the Arabs, exterminate Israel, and restore the Arab crescent of nations to their ancient prestige and power. If those ambitions seem grandiose for the young leader of a desert land of a mere 2 million people, it should be quickly pointed out that Gaddafi has one powerful asset: money. He may be, in effect, the world's richest man.
To carry out his plan, Gaddafi unexpectedly turned to a Western country.
Au moment où le nouvel ambassadeur arrive, il va remettre ses lettres de créance. C'est annoncé dans les journaux, parmi les petites nouvelles ordinaires. Le nouvel ambassadeur de France remet ses lettres de créance. Une foule énorme se masse sur notre passage, et donc la clameur s'élève. Il paraît évident que le pouvoir n'a pas organisé véritablement cet attroupement, mais l'a favorisé.
Gaddafi had a good reason for seeking closer ties with France. He wanted to make his military the most powerful in the region.
La modernité occidentale, pour lui, reste une espèce d'outil à acquérir. C'est quelque chose qui manque, en quelque sorte, à sa panoplie. Très vite, il voudra acquérir des instruments très visibles de cette modernité, à savoir des avions de combat.
We knew that the French were interested in replacing the Libyan U.S. aircraft inventory with French aircraft. So it was clear that the Libyans had the idea of balancing off different countries and not being too dependent upon any one.
On a foggy day in November, Gaddafi landed at Orly airport to sign France's biggest ever arms deal, an order for over 100 Mirage fighter bombers. In exchange, he insisted on being received in Paris. His first official visit to a Western nation brought him worldwide recognition. He had a lengthy meeting with President Pompidou, but the visit did not go well. Demonstrators protested at the sale of modern weapons to a man seen as unpredictable and aggressive.
الرئيس بومبيدو يمثل القيم الفرنسية الحقيقية، ولا بد من التفريق بين الحقيقة التي يمثلها الرئيس بومبيدو وبين غوغائية الشارع أو غوغائية الصحافة أحيانا.
On met une arme redoutable entre les mains d'un fou comme on le prétend. Là, il trouve ça affligeant, il trouve ça ridicule, il trouve ces accusations complètement déraisonnables.
For Gaddafi, the visit was a humiliation. Around the world, the press mocked the would-be hero for harboring delusions of grandeur.
Il va entrer dans le personnage dont on l'affuble. On a l'impression qu'il a été suffisamment blessé pour rétorquer à cette espèce de